3 months of sweat, discipline, and early mornings, all for one goal: to break 140, the day everything has been building toward. My legs are restless, my mind is a storm. The fear of failure whispers louder than I'd like to admit, but underneath that noise, there's a steady hum, a voice that says, "You've done the work, you're ready." Or maybe not.
Beautiful day for this half marathon and a sold-out race. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a great race, half marathoners.
So at the start of this video, I posed the question, will my training be enough to reach my goal of a sub 140 half marathon? And now with obviously the race being done, I can say that yes, the training was enough. I ended up getting a time of 1 hour, 32 minutes and 13 seconds, which was almost 8 minutes faster than what my goal was. And it was a almost 14 minute PR from the training run I did the week prior during peak week. And the time of 1:32:13 was an average pace of 7 minutes and 3 seconds per mile, which is 35 seconds faster than what my target pace was during my training runs and just what I was planning my race pace to be, which was 7:38, which obviously what happened in my training to allow me to run 35 seconds faster per mile than I had trained for. And it could be a number of things. I mean, a big one being during my interval sessions, I consistently was running 6:15 pace during my 400 meter and 800 meter intervals. Even my most recent interval session, my paces were, I think they were sub 6 minute paces for my 400 and 800 meter repeats, which is incredible, and what probably played into me being able to go faster, but also just the sheer mileage I was running. The 3 weeks leading up to my taper week, so peak week, and then the 2 weeks before, I was running around 40 miles a week, which that's a lot of miles for half marathon, which definitely played into me just being capable of running that fast when it wasn't the pace I was training for. So I did have a pace plan that did take into account that I was, I guess you could say, overtrained for the sub 140 goal, which I knew that I was capable of that goal, and I felt really confident in my ability. So even though in my videos and stuff I kept saying sub 140 goal because that's what I planned, I ended up thinking, like, just privately, I didn't tell anyone, that I was planning to run like a sub 135 actually. And to do that, I was going to run the first 5K at a 7:30 per mile pace, and then the second 5K at 7:20 per mile pace, third 5K at 7:10 per mile pace, and then the final 6K I was going to run at a 6:50 per mile pace, and that would have placed me around 133, 134 half marathon time, which now in reality, I didn't follow that pace plan at all. The first mile of the race, I ran at a 6:29 per mile pace, which the only reason I did that, it was not planned, is that first mile, I didn't look at my watch at all. And I started at the front of the pack at the start line, and I was running. The other people that were at the front were running fast times, and I let the adrenaline carry me through that first mile, which it's not like that first mile drained me at all, but I definitely couldn't have kept, or I couldn't have held that pace for the whole race. But anyways, after that first mile, my watch went off saying that first mile split was a 6:29 per mile pace, and I was like, well, I'm way ahead of pace, and I slowed down, which then the next few miles, miles 2 through 8, I ran at a pace around 7:15, 7:18 per mile, which was still faster than the goal pace, and which I was feeling really good. There were some points where my legs were burning a little bit, but that's just because there were sections where it was pretty steep hills. But after a little bit of flats, my legs were feeling fine again. But then come mile 10 through 13, that last 3 to 4 miles, I emptied the tank and I was running 6:41, 6:53 minute per mile pace. I was moving really quick. I felt really good. And I was just emptying the tank. And then I finished the race at that pace. And the key thing I learned about myself for this race is that I'm better off holding a consistent pace for the majority of the run, like I did with a pretty consistent pace across the majority of the miles of 6:15 to 7:18, and then just emptying the tank for the last couple miles. Just negative splitting the race. And I feel like with my history with soccer and just, that being able to recover, I guess you could say recover quickly, because of soccer and, the demands of that and all of my interval training that I mentioned earlier, it allows me to, if I hold a consistent pace that isn't too egregious, isn't too fast, and then I can negative split. So going forward with every run that I do after this, every race that I do, I'll keep in mind that I don't need this elaborate pace strategy of starting at a slow pace and then slowly getting faster and faster and faster until the end. Just keep a consistent pace and then go really fast at the end. Like, that's what I am capable of. That's what I'm good at. After, obviously, we've seen it. I put in the work, and then I come in, hold that consistent pace, and do negative splits at the end. And it's really the biggest thing I got out of this race is realizing that negative splitting is my superpower when it comes to racing. And that and just the training, all the training that I do paid off. With my natural ability to negative split, but that's like 10% of what led me to this PR. It was 90% of it was all of the training I did leading up to the race, the training, the fueling, all of that. That was the majority of what led to me getting this PR. And I guess that's the lesson of this whole prep, is that if you put in the work, if you consistently show up and and push your limits, you can surpass whatever goals that you set. As you just have to put in the work and the effort. But so yeah, my training the last 3 months was enough. And make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss next week's video, where I will be going and talking about what my plan is for the next 11 months of my training, because I have a big goal set in 11 months, and then these next 11 months leading to that goal, I'm going to be putting in the work, setting sub goals in between there, but I'm going for something real ambitious, so you're not going to want to miss that. So I'll see you guys in the next one.